YouTube's Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek. Welcome back to another Saturday Night Live. And as ever, I'm joined by my best buds on YouTube. We've got James T. Keegan. How are you?
What's up?
Ew, indeed. Fitting well, ready for action?
Absolutely, man. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on. I missed a few of these, so I'm happy to be here.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Lots to talk about tonight, James. So looking forward to getting your thoughts. And we've got the Hydra himself. Luke, how are you?
What is up, comic book familiar?
No, it doesn't work, mate. Doesn't work.
No? Okay, let me try again.
Try again.
Heyo.
Better than the other one.
Possible. Yeah. I'll give him that. Yeah.
Okay. We'll call it quits there.
How are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. Busy day, but yeah, it's good. Excited to be here as always.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And we've got some turtle talk later on, Luke. So I'm sure you'll be getting involved with that. We've also got good old Highland G. How are you, Highland G?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's been a bit of a long day. I've been sort of off most of this week. This is my first day back to work, and it's just been a mental Saturday. So it's good to be here and just have a chat rather than being working away.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to chill and put your feet up and enjoy the chat. And as ever, we've got the main Maul himself, Dr. Von Hoot. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You?
Yeah, very good.
How's your week been? We don't really talk to Peter. Well, we need to talk to Peter. Get deep down inside of that ginger head of yours.
Yeah, get deep down the side of it. Interesting. Yeah, no, my week's been shit, mate. We've been having a formal inspection at work, but it's over and done with.
No, that sucks.
Yeah. And I've got a fortnight off, so I'm living the dream.
Living the
dream.
Nice.
Speaking of the dream, here's the dream man himself. We have got Rob. How are you, sir?
Oh, scrambling as always. So we go from one place to the other, but I'm Ducky.
Good. I wonder what happens if you ever come on and you're not Ducky. Do you think it's like the screen?
Well, I debated about giving you a different answer, but I felt like you expect now for me to say that I'm Ducky.
It's an expectation, Rob. Yeah.
We'll throw the whole show off. I think.
I don't want to know what Rob's like when he's not Ducky.
I only want to hear it if it's. I only want to hear if it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I am Ducky. Thanks.
He is Ducky. He is. And Rob, fresh off a superb show, I have to say, that guy had some friggin' amazing space sci-fi books.
We've barely even scratched the surface with his collection. It's so ridiculous. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's what happens. That's what happens when you start collecting books in the '60s and you don't stop.
Yeah.
Right.
I must say, it's I don't want to follow these people. Like, it makes my collection look so poor.
Again, fortunately, it's not a competition, and but we are happy. By the way, Luke is our guest next week on Only Slabs.
Fantastic!
So that's phenomenal.
Fantastic. I will have to watch that one on the rewind because I'm out next Saturday, but I'm sure you'll have a fantastic show. Luke's got some great books. Spider-Man related, a lot of them I would imagine, but there's some interesting stuff.
Too bad we don't like. Too bad the hosts on that show don't like Spider-Man.
Exactly. Okay, guys, always a pleasure to have you all here. Let's just quickly run through some stuff we've got going on my channel before we get to the chat. So, as ever tonight, we're going to be doing all the geeky news, looking at what we've been picking up recently, a little bit about what we've been reading, and then what we've been watching. And at the end of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about aliens and UFOs, and that's prompted by some interesting stuff that's been happening over in the States this week. So interested in people's views on that a little bit later on. Just to mention some of the shows we have done this week. Earlier in the week, we did Let's Talk Toys. That was a cracking show. I had a real good laugh on that one. So please do go and check that out if you like action figures, 1/6 scale figures, computer games, and all that kind of stuff. So please do check that out. This week, tomorrow, we've got this week's comics with some of the guys where we'll be reviewing all the comic books from the last week. We've got our DC show on Monday where we're looking at the top scenes from DC movies. We've got some really interesting picks on that one. On Wednesday, I'm going to be doing an interview with 1/6 Figure Focus, talking about his action figure collection. there's going to be potentially 2 more. This week. I've got 2 more guests lined up. I'm just waiting for their final confirmation. So it could be a busy week for This Is My. And then I've got a 1/6 scale unboxing of good old Captain Carter. So absolutely love that figure. Wanted to mention this. This is something we've got coming up in the next few weeks. This is Masters of the Triviaverse. Myself and Andy from Perpetual Comics are going to be finding out who is the king or queen of the Star Wars nerds. So we'll be putting together a little live quiz show for people to take part in and seeing who is the overall champion. And then we've got this coming up in a couple of weeks. This is going to be our Ask Us Anything show, where basically we've got no script, no slides, and it's going to be a bit chaotic. And as ever, a big shout out to the usual YouTube community from here over in the UK. Please do check out all of their live shows. Okay, right. Let's just quickly see who we've got in the chat, and then we shall make a start, chaps. We've got good old StreamYard. We've got Sarah and Doug. We've got Lottie, my friend Lottie. Nice to see you, Lottie. I hope you are well. And we've got Deadman. Von Hoot, have you frozen to that position, or is that just a kind of general kind of vibration? Very nice. I like it. We've got Deadman. Always a pleasure to see you, Deadman. Thank you for joining. And we've got Jack. Again, always nice to see you, Jack. And John. Always nice to see you, my friend. We've got Phil. Thank you for joining. And Chris Bell. Always fun to see Chris. I've just unsubbed because of Luke.
That's okay, because he's unsubbed your channel, not mine.
No! And we've got Andy from Perpetual Comics. What a top tier lineup. Spoiled you all. Nice to see you, Andy. Andy, it is nice to see you, mate, because I know you've had a traumatic day. So thank you very much for joining, bud. I do appreciate it. We've got Connie. Always a pleasure to see you, Connie. Looking forward to catching up with you at Thought Bubble. And we've got Sean. Nice to see you, Sean. Who else have we got? L Green Machine. Thank you very much for joining. Dr. Von Hoot saying evening to the chat. Andy, whoever came up with that name deserves a prize. I think everybody knows, Andy, it'll have been me, Masters of the Triviaverse. Of course, I came up with that name. And we've got Mr. Planted Prophet. Aliens shouldn't be a question if they're real. It's a fact. Oh, well, interesting. We will get to that in a bit. We've got Trev, the shipping guru. Thank you for joining. And we've got Hulk Collector 82. Kevin, thank you very much for joining, sir. Lots of people in the chat. So thank you very much, everybody. Please do hit. Sorry. Yeah, I've realized I was subbed to Luke as well. Very dramatic. Luke, you're getting some grief tonight, mate. So, as I was saying, lots of people here, lots of people watching, 21 people watching at the moment, which is great for my little channel. Thank you very much, everybody. Please do check out everybody on screen's channels. They all do superb content. Like and subscribe. Hit the like button, all that jazz. Okay, let's crack on, guys. A couple of bits of news to discuss first of all. James, wanted to come to you with this. This is Beyond the Spider-Verse delayed indefinitely. Craven moved back. This is obviously because of the writer's strikes. I have to say, the language that's going around about this really irritates the living shit out of me, because delayed indefinitely, Alex. Do you know what I mean? We know it's coming out. It feels like the language is being used to kind of cause a reaction. We know it's coming out. Do you know what I mean? Anyway,
yeah, well, it's the only thing they haven't put a date on. Like everything else has been giving a new date, so we just don't have one for that. Like there had been rumors, whispers from like insiders that it was not nowhere near far long enough to put out for next year anyway. You know, so it's not that huge a surprise. But like having a part 1 and then a part 2 follow 3 years later is a bit annoying now, isn't it? When it's like cut off in the middle of the story. Craven is the kind of the odd one for me, because it's been pushed after Madam Web and what's the other one? Venom 3. So like we've not even seen a glimpse of Venom 3. Now it's going to come out after that. So that might cause all these problems with continuity and teases and stuff like that. Yeah, so very strange. And like it was supposed to be out in a couple of months, and now it's like over a year away. So that's like.
But I mean, I think we've all talked about this before, haven't we? We all, I think, are generally in support of the strike, the actors and the writers strike.
Absolutely, pay people what they deserve.
Yeah. So this was to be expected, surely. Anybody else got any thoughts on this? Rob?
Well, I'm as somebody who went to school to study in radio and television and very familiar, and film was radio, television, and film was my major. So I'm very familiar with a lot of this stuff, and it's very important, I think, in this case, to support the writers and the actors, because the deal that they have been paid on, a lot of the, especially the writers, yes, you get paid a little bit, but part of your deal is that you get paid based on residuals, those showings up. And the way that the language in those agreements are written up are all based around the older distribution of video content. So it's based on television broadcasts and cable, and streaming services were not included in that, which is, of course, where most of these channels, even cable channels now today, which are being viewed via streaming, now are excluded. So the amount of those residuals go away, that dramatically decreases their pay that they get, combined with the fact that it just pads now the studios. The studios, of course, want to keep on collecting money because, hooray capitalism, I suppose. But and damn the workers and the people who actually do the work. So yeah, no, I'll definitely support the artists and the writers who create the content. It is only right that as technology changes, that these contracts be rewritten to keep up with the times. Because unfortunately, since I work in contracts today, I will tell you, it never matters what the intent of a contract is. All that matters is what's actually written in the contract. And so it doesn't matter if the intent was to pay these guys. When it comes time, they're not going to get paid because technology has changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Rob. Absolutely. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? I think we're on agreement, aren't we? Yeah, good stuff. I'm just going to quickly jump to the comments here. Mr. Planter Prophet, I think the government secretly implanted the thoughts of some of the amazing writers of comics. I believe all characters are based on true alien abilities. Okay. Chris is saying he fully supports everyone. We should be paid what they're worth. From what I've read, they're getting screwed at the moment. Absolutely, Chris. And I think there was a bit of stuff in the press, wasn't there, about they get paid big bucks and all kinds of stuff. That's an incredibly small percentage of top tier writers, top tier actors that get that. Your vast majority of people aren't getting a good deal out of this.
It's less than 1%, so it's like worse than real life.
And it's something like, if you just gave them what they wanted, it would only cost like 400 million a year, which is one, like, an Indiana Jones. That's all between all the studios.
And it's really smart, because you see the guilds have intentionally done this on intent, is not have the big names out there. They're not out there picketing by request, even though they support and they're going along with it. Having a Tom Cruise walking the picket line, nobody's going to feel sorry for him that he's losing out for an extra $1 million in residual. Not that he's making $1 million on residuals, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But whereas these other guys, this is everybody, of course, and it spills over though, because unfortunately this now affects all the grips. It affects the cameramen, the lighting guys. There's a lot of people who are affected by this. So
yeah. It's big. It's very big. Yeah. Connie, the language from some of these massive studios regarding the strikes is shocking. Absolutely. In the Luke, reminders of the guy from Disney. Is it
Michael Eisner?
Bob Iger? Yeah. I mean, some of the comments he's come out with are downright.
Let them lose their homes.
We're
gonna wait them out until they're starving, literally, until we're gonna renegotiate. Yeah.
It's all quite distressing. Highland G, going to come to you next. Now, you're not a big Disney Plus watcher, I don't think. Loki season 2, is this something that's on your radar, or is this something that's kind of interest to you?
I never watched the first season, so probably not.
So you're not a Loki fan?
I'm just not a fan of the constant drive of Disney thing of the week. Like I like to pick and choose what I want to watch when I want to watch things, and after, I don't know, the 10th or 11th Disney movie, and then they kind of moved to Disney Plus, I just kind of saw this coming, that it was going to be every month some different show of some.
Where do you get off picking and choosing what content you want to watch when you want to watch it?
I know it's crazy, right? To think
who do you think you are?
You can go back and watch old shows or movies, or watch these on lots of different platforms. You know,
the American way. Come on, consume everything.
So yes, I'm kind of picking and kind of choosing. So something really stands out, or someone's like, "Oh, I watched this and it was amazing." Then I'll go and I'll check out that show. So I plan to at some point check out The Mandalorian, because at least the first couple of seasons people seem to really sort of rave about. But all of the Star Wars and general Disney stuff, sort of Marvel that's coming out, I just don't bother with it unless someone kind of tells me to otherwise. Because again, the reactions are not that great anyway. It seems like a lot of people feel like they're wasting.
I know Loki was one. Loki was one people loved.
I guess I'd say Loki is one of the better ones. Luke, are you excited for this? Because did you like Loki season 1? I can't remember.
Yeah, so when it comes to the Disney Plus shows, I can agree with what Highland G is saying. The whole next bit of content. I feel like I've said it multiple times before. We used to be able to sit with stuff for much longer and kind of ingest it into ourselves and find a love for it. Whereas with this ever-growing content, you just lose that. However, WandaVision and Loki were the two that I actually enjoyed, but they were the first. And everything that came then afterwards is kind of been a bit meh.
Yeah. No, and speaking of meh, Luke, speaking of meh, Secret Invasion ends as the lowest rated Disney Plus MCU show on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's well earned.
Oh, no. I quite liked Secret Invasion. I thought Secret Invasion, I completely agree. Slow burn. The last episode had some dodgy CGI, as most of them do these days, and it ended on a bit of a wet fart. But overall, I quite enjoyed the series.
So it's not really a slow burn. It's a bottle of water, Peter. It's wet as a river. Nothing happens in it. Like it's I've kind of over the last couple of weeks gone a bit down, and now I just hate it. Like I really am. I'm actually actively upset about it now. So yeah,
I mean, I'm a little bit with James on this one. It's sort of progressively got beaten me down.
Agreed with you when you said like, I don't care. I don't care what's happening. Yeah, which is absurd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody disagree with?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. I binged watched it all after you guys were all ramping it up and saying, yeah, it's good, give it a watch. So I watched all of the episodes bar the last, and then watched the last. And like you say, nothing happened. One thing that I will say though is I'm assuming, based on like the character of Rhodes and what he was wearing, that we're assuming that it was from like back in Civil War times when he was taken. That means that Skrull has not only done an awful lot, but has watched a lot of movies, because he got all those time travel references from Endgame.
Yeah. He's been around.
That Skrull put in the work.
Yeah.
That machine takes the memories.
The machine gets it. Yeah.
Memories, yeah.
He has a direct link to his memories.
Okay.
When they hooked up with the machine. Yeah.
I must have
Rob, I'm looking at you, sir, and I'm praying for a bit of positivity here.
And I am eagerly anticipating sitting down to watch all 6 episodes now that they're all available for me to see at one time and make my own decision for myself.
Good man. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It really is. It's really what I would say.
It's sort of not though, is it? That's the problem. It's
not at all. Absolutely not.
I walked into that one. It's just. I think it's got some of the best acting in any of the series.
Yeah, it does have its moments with some good acting and stuff like that.
And I don't believe anyone can say that Olivia Colman doesn't play a superb partner.
She's clearly the highlight of the show, and if you're going to watch it at all, it's for her.
It's for her.
She's wonderful.
Good stuff. Right then, Star Wars people, Rob, James in particular.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Donald Glover is teaming up with his brother to write Disney Plus Lando series. What do we think of this?
I don't know of his writing chops, so I mean,
Atlanta. Have you ever seen?
No,
never
watched it.
Show. He is a superb writer. So like
Atlanta's
the main thing I'm familiar with. Yeah, so I think it's going to be. This is a really good sign.
If he's a good writer,
sorry, go on.
I say if he's a good writer, and he has a passion for Star Wars, and is given some leeway in what he wants to do. I mean, granted, Lando is probably one where we have a lot of available play within canon. There's not there's a few things that are there, but not a ton. Gray characters at times.
Yeah.
The leeway thing is concerning for me though, because like the two of them were working on a Deadpool cartoon and Disney canned it because like it was too much for them. And then you have even with a previous betrayal with Solo where they booted the directors kind of halfway through. So I'm hoping Disney does just kind of stand back and let him do what he wants with it. Or
it's Disney, that'll never happen ever.
Yeah, so like I'm excited, but I'm also skeptical that this will even happen. So
let me ask this question. Is Kathleen Kennedy still in charge of Lucas? Oh, she is? Oh, well. All right, never mind.
This is the danger, isn't it? That would get good people attached to stuff, but then the corporation, as it were, sticks its claws in. And
but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want, just because I liked a particular maybe, let's say in this case that his portrayal of Lando was the shining star of that Han Solo movie, right? Which isn't necessarily saying a lot, but not that I hated the movie, but just because somebody did a good job playing a particular role means absolutely zero to me when it comes to writing a story and doing something. I'm glad that he's involved in it. If they're going to do a Lando story, that they're bringing him, because obviously Billy D. Williams isn't going to be able to do it.
I believe it's flashbacks, so the two of them are in it. So it's Billy Williams and that was how it was originally announced. Anyway,
sure, but we saw Billy D in the last movie. He's not.
So.
He ain't Billy D anymore. I mean, he's. So the fact of the matter is that I'll watch it because again, Star Wars I must consume. But other than that, I'm not.
Luke.
Going back just to Secret Invasion again, because you just mentioned about the Han Solo film. Do you think that Emilia Clarke might be a bit of a jinx for these franchises? Because like Game of Thrones wasn't very good with how that ended. Then she wasn't very good in the Star Wars film that then didn't go too well. Then Secret Invasion.
Get him out of my sight.
Destroyed the Terminator franchise. Like, are we not?
Are you laying that on her? Are you laying that on her?
Oh yeah, you can't lay that on her.
I'm making a joke. She was the only reason I watched Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
I love her.
I thought that her role in what she did in that Han Solo movie actually wasn't bad, and especially that character, what they continue to do later on with it in Crimson Reign. In the comic series was somewhat interesting from all that aspect, but obviously she got our attention, and people keep hoping to see some of that first season greatness of Game of Thrones. If we want to,
I was just joking. I don't want people to start hating me.
Well, so I have to be honest, and I'm gonna move on because I'm concerned about James's blood pressure. I'm gonna be honest. I've said a lot about good actors in Secret Invasion. She was the worst for me. I thought she was shit. I didn't like
the character more than the performance. I feel
she was dreary and she just did nothing good. If she's going to be sticking around, I'm not going to spoil it for Rob, but if she's going to be sticking around, I'd like to see some big changes to her portrayal of the character.
Better writing. It's not her fault.
Yeah.
She was given the work.
The writing really wasn't there for her. I mean, what did she give him? Just be mopey. Like that's
she can be like a fun, bubbly character if she wanted to, but that's not what she was told.
Andy's saying Secret Invasion is basically another what if. What if Nick Fury was Nick Fury? Yeah.
What if Marvel was shit?
Luke. I'm coming to you next for a bit of Spider-Man, then to Rob. Amazing Spider-Man 31. Mary Jane Watson has now got superpowers and is called. Well, no, sorry, she's got a some kind of electronic box thing, hasn't she? And she's called Jackpot. Is this shit or is this good or what?
So I haven't read it. I'll say that first. I've heard about it. I heard this was coming. Obviously, the character of Jackpot was out a long time ago, and it was forever teased. Yeah. Like, was this Mary Jane, etc. It turned out it wasn't, but obviously now they've backtracked and they made it that for whatever reason. Spider-Man comics just aren't doing it for me recently, and haven't been for a good number of years now. So even as much as I love Spider-Man, love the comics, this is really disappointing. I can't tell you if it's good or not because I have no intention of reading it at the moment.
So I'll come to Rob in a second. I don't know if he's up to date. I guess my main worry about this, no, worry, that's the wrong word. It just gets on me tits. Is that pretty much every character in Spider-Man now either has a symbiote or some kind of special power? Or why can people just not be people?
So do you know what? I recently read, and I said on the show a few months back, that I recently read the Volume 2 Renew Your Vows, and Mary Jane has a form of mechanical suit in that distributes Peter's powers to her, and that's how she's able to do the things that she does in that mini-series. But that's an alternate universe, and that's very different.
And a phenomenal read.
It's a great read. I really enjoyed that. That's the Spider-Man that I wish we now had.
Yes.
Like, Spider-Man needs to have his kid, needs to be a family unit and tell those stories.
And needs to be with Mary Jane, Marvel.
The fact that they're not doing it, and they never will. I don't think they ever will. So I'm just, I'm not reading
So just before we move on, Andy's concerned for your safety and your welfare, Luke. You do know that there's a polar bear.
Wow, what happened?
Something to do with Lost?
Yeah.
Spider-Man at the moment, then.
What? Oh,
you froze for a bit.
You didn't hear a word. We're at Spider-Man.
Oh, from me. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you froze up. Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry. Rob, what are you thinking of Spider-Man at the moment?
So, like Luke, so Spider-Man, I am reading it. Spider-Man, though, hasn't been good. I have argued since Volume 1 ended. Ever since then, there have been moments that have been okay, but for the most part, it's been shite. Okay. Now, the current bit, I will say, actually, the last couple of issues, the story that they did with Doc Ock, I actually kind of enjoyed them. The whole stuff that they've done with Mary Jane, of course, I'm a big fan. Mary Jane should be with Peter. I do not like any of this stuff of taking her away. Her superpower, she always had a superpower. It was her empathy and ability to be there for Peter, so that and be able to take some of his burden and help him to deal with his feeling, his overwhelming desire and the amount of responsibility he put on his shoulders. She always was there for him and took some of that, and that should never be understated. And that's what made him, the two of them, so great. Her gaining these powers now from the alternate universe, and then being this random power that may or may not be helpful at any time when she goes to use it in jackpot form, I'm hoping is just a temporary thing. But who knows? But you are right. There are way too many characters with spider powers. And we're going to get more. There's way too many heroes getting symbiotes. They really need to do a mass extinction with symbiotes event and leave it and boil us down to maybe just Venom and Carnage and be done with all the rest of them. In my opinion,
distilled it far too much, hasn't it? I think, in my opinion,
it's just made the show repetitive. Yes, I can. It's absolute shite.
Tremendous.
Do a proper
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Rob.
I wanted to make sure I translated it so you guys could understand.
Absolutely. Now, guys, you are going to be upset about this. I know you are, because we know how these things, I'm very sorry to break it to you, but Moon Knight apparently is going to die in a future comic. And so much so that they're having to have a whole kind of 3-month lead up to his death with multiple variant covers and covers in every other comic, So disappointing news, I know, but I just thought I'd mention it so you can get in there straight away and make sure you've got all 32 covers.
That's going to keep me up at night.
It's a bold move. Killing a big hitter like Moon Knight, I have to say now. That's
I mean, Rob, if ever there was a time, Rob, for you to say shite, that's probably now. What do you think this is?
It's utter spite.
I just wanted to mention this other one because I know, Luke, you've talked a lot in the past about comics for kids, and I quite like this new line from Marvel Beginners. Now, this is probably younger than you've talked about in the past. This is for really young kids up to the age of 3, I think. But interesting line to try and get superheroes into the kind of the mindset, I guess, of young kids. And there's a whole series of books about that. I quite like those. Luke, Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes out Monday over here in the UK. Mutant Mayhem, it's getting a sequel already and a Paramount Plus series. Apparently, it's getting great reviews. I love that. And then also the guy who did the kid who did the I Like Turtles is being brought back to do another update. Luke, you're a turtle expert, and then we'll move to Highland G after you. What do you think of this?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say I was an expert, but I absolutely love that marketing of getting that kid back again.
I like turtles.
Superb.
So good.
Yeah, that will always forever be one of the classics. Like, we've all been on YouTube a long time. We've all seen it. It's such a great thing. And so even just tracking him down and getting him all into that get up. I mean, is he genuinely that kid or another actor? I don't care.
No, I think
either way, they've done a great job at getting it all back again. As for the movie, I'm really excited. I don't know when. I said to you before the show, I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to go see it. I might have to ditch the wife and kids and go one day.
We can start the party now. Fuzzy is in the building. Welcome, Fuzzy. Nice to see you.
I was so concerned he wasn't going to turn up.
I was worried as well.
So you know, Fuzz, we haven't done the plugs yet. So
yeah,
you can shoot.
We're talking turtles, Fuzzy. We're talking turtles. Highland
a movie
G.
that's actually aimed at children,
Yeah.
and you're just going to ditch your kids to go.
Yeah, there's two franchises that my kids don't get a look in until I've seen it first, and that is Spider-Man and Turtles. As soon as I've seen it and I've enjoyed it, then I can sit through them going, who's that? Why is that? This, that, and that. I can't do that first sitting. I have to watch it myself first.
Just don't have kids, I think.
Chris is asking if there's a toy line. No, I think he's taking the mic. Highland G, are you a big turtle fan?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with turtles. As I think very similar to kind of Luke. I've had all toys since a really young age. I've watched all the earlier sort of cartoons and movies and all that kind of stuff, and I've actually really enjoyed the ITW sort of reboot series, which was it's kind of grown up with us. So they added a lot of mythos to it. Related to kind of like feudal Japan a bit more, and just maybe like aged up the characters a little bit more in the way they kind of acted and kind of connected with us. And I think that's the interesting thing with what they're doing with this movie is that, well, our generation's kind of had our turtles and we've grown up into the IDW stuff, but the next generation needs their turtles. So this is, proper teenage turtles again. They're going to be kids. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to laugh off silly, dumb things. And if I can say so personally, some of the toys and stuff that have come out have just looked amazing. They're so eye-catching. Like, you just like, I don't even like pop figures, and I want to buy the Turtles pop figures because they look so cool. Yeah. So, I think it's going to be big.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Dr. Von Hoot, I don't think I've asked you, but are you a turtle man or are you a...
I'm a bit sort of in the middle on them, honestly. I was like one of the rare kids that didn't really like the cartoon show when we were kids. Like, I really annoyed me how useless the villains were in every single episode. That they're absolute idiots in every, and that drives me mad because I grew up with Megatron being the villain, and he's a proper villain. In the middle, I love the movie, the first movie, and I like actually some of the movies. They're quite fun, but the first one particularly, I think, is actually a genuinely good film. And I've never really read the comics. I've got loads of them digitally. I've got them from start onwards, but I just never got around to actually reading it. I need to give that a go. Yeah. So I'm in the middle. I don't know that I'll go and see this, to be honest. If I hear it's really, really good, then maybe. But I'll probably just wait until it's on streaming, to be honest. Yeah.
How about you, Rob? Is this one for you to go and see? Or?
So I'm really more of a middle-aged, mild Maul guy instead of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. TMNT never got me excited at all. It would, so my wife asked me the other day if I had any interest in seeing it, and it was a hard pass for me. I don't care.
Yeah, and James, you're going to see it, but you're not a massive Turtle fan. Is that right?
Yeah, but I enjoyed the last live action movie, and the one before was okay as far as I remember, but it's not something I've ever really connected with. I like the idea of it, but no particular iteration has ever made me a fan. So I'm hoping this might actually be the one.
I think I mean, I do like the Turtles. I've got fond memories of the cartoons. I couldn't tell you what happened in the episodes, but I remember loving them as a kid. But I think I'm with Highland G. I think this is a great kind of starting point for the franchise in terms of the younger people, I guess. I'll be going to see it hopefully this week. I'm looking forward to catching it at the cinema. Fuzzy was busy starting a minor revolution. Fuzzy, just to say, mate, you've probably joined about the right time, because I'm going to single out James T. Keegan and Dr. Von Hoot have just eviscerated Secret Invasion, mate. So you're good to have avoided that, because I know you loved the show.
Because it's shit.
Chris is just saying there he's hoping his twins love it. They're 6. Yeah, I think it's gonna hit well with the younger kids, Chris, if I'm honest, and the fans of the franchise. I'm
hoping it does really well with the young kids, and I'm hoping that I've managed to give
I'm sure it will.
Like, my kids already know so much about Turtles from all the old stuff that they'll go into this being experts. Like, all their friends won't know nearly as much stuff as them.
My nephews both absolutely love Turtles, and they're around like 6 and 10-ish sort of age, and they sort of grew up with the previous iteration of the cartoon and that TMNT movie, and they absolutely love it. It works for every generation except me, apparently. Like they seem
perhaps,
to really.
I don't know. Are Mowls and Turtles natural enemies or something like that? I don't know. Is it?
It doesn't work for me either. I think it has to do with just when your age is. For me, Turtle. By the time Turtles came big, I was moved way past. I mean, I was much older than some of the folks here.
Yeah, I think it depends on when you grew up. For me, I was of that generation, which was the original sort of 4 to 5 person teams. They were usually quite diverse. You'd have, an Asian person, a girl that's white, a guy that's black, and you'd have like a mixed kind of team within things. And even within the Turtles, you had these really, quite extreme personality kind of differences kind of within the overall kind of team, and everybody always kind of connected with one person within whatever team it is they were watching, and just enjoyed the show for what it was. So I grew up with a lot of that. I kind of left as the Power Rangers were kind of becoming a thing, and although I have enjoyed the later comics, I personally never really got into the shows that much. But as again, my brother, who's maybe 4 or 5 years younger than me, he grew up on that. That's like his Turtles, so
each generation, I guess, isn't it? Just moving on, then I want to touch on a couple of just things that have happened recently, which I find very interesting. It's this whole bloody Twitter malarkey. I saw this image. This isn't my image, but I absolutely loved it. What a load of old shit. This Elon Musk bloke, he met changing Twitter to X or something.
Just imagine throwing away one of the most recognizable brands.
I just don't get it.
The marketing genius is not there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and to go to something so undescript as X, because every company who has ever used X to describe their product or a product version, please raise your everybody? Okay, well, that's super unique.
Just, it makes no sense at all.
The thing is it not still called Twitter? You just made the bird an X, like the logo's an X.
Yeah, it's still called Twitter, I suppose.
I think it's not going to be changed to X. It's
not as far as I've seen so far. I mean, they might be going that way, but right now, if you have the app on your phone or whatever, the logo is X, but it's still called Twitter.
Yeah, they're going through the process of rebranding. They were tearing down the signs outside the buildings and stuff here, outside the office buildings and stuff, and so.
It feels kind of weird. Why buy a brand to then throw away the brand? I mean, at least sell it to someone else.
It's astonishingly dumb. I mean, just I have no idea what they're thinking.
Because Musk does what he wants.
Make a copy of Twitter, then why didn't he just do that in the first place?
It's just insane.
Absolute insanity. Speaking of insanity, Luke, you asked to talk a little bit about these Disney Steel boxes. What's that all about?
Yeah, so I've heard that Disney are going to take their streaming service shows and release a physical steel box for them, which contains loads of paperwork, extras, posters, what have you, but no discs. So you're literally going to buy this thing in the steel box format, which, as everyone knows, is a lot more expensive than even a standard DVD. just to put on your shelf, but you still have to have your streaming service and everything else. It's not even like a voucher that you have to tap in and pay to get access to it. Like, it is just you pay for your streaming site, but you can buy this box too. And apparently they're doing one for One Division as a beginner, because obviously that was the first thing that they released. But it's coming with like 12 different variants. Now, to me, this just seems so utterly pointless. And yet I know there are people out there that are still going to go and buy it more for you.
It might actually be quite successful within the like quite small niche of like Blu-ray steelbook collectors, because a lot of them don't open the steelbooks. Honestly, they have collections and collections of just fully wrapped steelbooks.
Yeah,
I have a question about this because I don't know. Is this strictly like, it's not when you buy this box, there's no code where I can sort of like, if I don't subscribe to the service, that I would be able to get that access to that one item?
It's my understanding that you still need a fully like working subscription to Disney
Ongoing
Plus.
subscription.
It's not a code where you can download the
He's
Disney copy and
literally
store it
selling-
somewhere else.
They're literally
Because
selling the
if it
steel
was
box.
because if it was a code, at least, where it's like, okay, I'm not a subscriber, but I'm now essentially purchasing the digital rights to this item, at least. Yeah, exactly. I could see that. But if it's literally just, here's a box of other stuff that goes along with this thing, but you don't get, there's nothing, then that's just.
They've done the same in the past, as I mentioned with you guys in the chat kind of earlier, that they've done the same with like computer games before. I've seen like PlayStation Limited edition
that's what I was about to say.
with a scale box and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
but you have the game either separately physically or digitally. No game comes in the limited edition set.
Yeah, so this is not really a new thing. I collect PlayStation Collector's Editions, and so the last few games, God of War, Horizon, have come with a steelbook and a digital code for the game. And it's been really annoying because that requires me, because I'm OCD about this kind of shit. I have to go and buy a physical disc and then sell the code and lose like 10 quid to have a disc for the steelbook.
Or I've even had limited edition games where you get the game in the regular box, shrink wrapped, and then you get a steelbook separate.
Yeah,
so I don't mind that. I'm not going to use both.
Yeah, but it made sense at the time because of Horizon or God of War, there's PS4 and PS5 versions, so you don't have to make two separate ones. The code just works for either. But like Spider-Man, it's going to happen, and that's only on PS5. So just give us a bloody.
I think steelbooks themselves, though, are a bit of a collectible now, kind of like comic covers are a bit of a collectible. There's people that have like magnetic walls that they would collect steelbooks on, and if you do it as a display like that rather than on a shelf, I could totally understand people wanting like 12 Disney pictures or whatever on their wall.
Vaughn, who do you collect steel boxes, don't you?
I have some. I basically go with whatever's a reasonable price and looks good. Yeah. So like I'm not. There are people that just buy steel books, and there are massive collections that never ever get opened.
Yeah,
they're very, very particular about them, and they're even sort of limited editions that are on very niche websites that you have to like. A bit like comics and exclusives, really. It's pretty similar.
I mean, I guess. What do I think? I guess each to their own. You know, it's not for us to. It's not for us to say what people should or shouldn't collect.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean,
it should come with a disc. It should come with the show on a disc that you can watch.
I'm thinking back to like, you guys mentioned more recent games, but 10 plus years ago, I would purchase a collector's edition of a particular game that might be released for an online game, and that would get you a download code, or you download it, you wouldn't get a disc in there, but there would be some extra stuff, and then there was a code in there that when you entered that code, then because it was a game, whatever, you got extra stuff that gear or whatnot. But I mean, again, if it was like where I could get this digital code and I could at least have the digital rights to that thing, then I'd say, okay, great. But without that, it's just not for me. That's for sure.
No.
So taking it back to the realm of comic books, even people who like slabbed books, I don't have a great collection of slabs, but I have enough.
Look, you're on Rob's show next week. Might want to wind that back. You've got
I've got enough. I've got enough for Rob's show. But I'm as a percentage of my collection, it's on the lower side. But I've always made the argument of, if I want that book, if I want that specific book, I can crack it open and it's there. The problem that I have with these empty boxes is that they're empty boxes. You know, if your show gets removed or if it gets altered in any way,
Service
you
goes
can't then
down.
say, well, I've got
Yeah.
this copy. You can't then say, this is why I purchased this. Now, obviously, I understand why they've done it, because they can't give you a physical copy, because that's the only reason you will ever subscribe to their show. Because, yes, you could buy all the other backlog and the back catalogue, but you can't buy those specific things like your Lokis and your Marvel and Star Wars shows. So I can see where they're going with it. It just doesn't make sense.
I guess,
But then
so
like,
I
Netflix
think
would sell Blu-rays of their shows,
Yeah.
so like I don't know why Disney Plus wouldn't.
I guess, I mean, moving on, because we've got lots to get through, guys, but I think you're absolutely right, Luke. The rationale of selling empty box baffles us.
Well,
But
this
I
makes
guess-
much more.
I
Hold
guess
on,
I'm
I
seeing it as
just
artwork.
Googled this to make sure I understood. This makes much more sense. And apparently, this is not a Disney product. This is a product that's being done Manta Lab, who does have a legit license for Disney, but and does create some steelbooks for Disney. But this was not a Disney product, at least in the case of this WandaVision one. So this may be why there's no movie or digital
There's
rights
no
code
movie
in
link.
there, because they don't actually even have that. They don't have that
So-
license to
So they're
give.
literally selling a nice art tin
Yeah,
for you to store your.
that makes a lot more sense why it is that way. Because
Yeah. Crazy.
So they might have the rights to like recase something that has been printed, but if there's no printing, then there's nothing they can do.
exactly.
Okay, guys, really interesting topic, Luke. Well, thank you for bringing that up, Luke. Really interesting one. Now, guys, possibly my favorite part of the show that I always like to bring you guys is American Madness in relation to food. So now we've got mustard flavored Skittles. What the fuck? Why?
They'll just do
why-
anything now, won't they? Like it's like
I fucking love America. Like, God's sake.
Guess what? I'm going to put in your boxes next.
Yeah.
Mustard flavored, you dirty bastards. Moving on, guys. Moving on to what have you been reading? Any of you chaps been reading much of interest this week? So we'll come
Absolutely.
to Rob. What have you been reading, mate?
Well, aside from getting caught up on a lot of my comics, including Spider-Man stuff, last week I had talked about, after everybody in the world told me that I had to read Saga, and I had finally picked up the trade paperback for the first trade paperback. Read it, loved it, so I had to go get the compendium.
Oh, good man. So
So-
I've got they're the ones I was mentioning last week. I've got 1 and 2 of those, but I've not read them yet.
Yeah,
Um,
so now
so
I
you're still
started
enjoying
reading
it?
Yeah, immense
So
fun.
it's a recommendation. You think that one?
Absolutely. I don't know
Yeah, I
why I
have to-
didn't listen to everybody before. That the 1,700 people that told me, Rob, this is right up your alley. You really should read this.
Do you know what, Rob? So I had exactly the same situation. Everybody was telling us I have to read it. I put the 2 compendiums on my Amazon list and got them for Christmas or something off my wife. And I think it was just the sheer size of it. I thought, I'm not sure I've got time to invest in that. But I need to pick that one up. I need to pick that one up.
I mean, I started with just the trade paperback, obviously, which was the first 5
Yeah.
issues. And I'll tell you this: when I picked it up, it just didn't waste time. Building up a backstory. It just got into the story, and then builds up backstory as we go. So it just you're immersed into the story right away. And I think that really helps from a standpoint of that. I'm not a great reader. I'm not a fast reader, but I picked up that thing, and next thing I know, I was done with it. And I never didn't take a break between it. So now it's like I'm on the compendium. I'm ready. Let's rock and roll.
Phil's Nerdiverse is in the chat. Have you guys on the Nerd Herd read Saga? I can't remember. I think I seem to remember you reviewing the first few issues. Let one know in the chat if you have and what you thought of it. Anybody else been reading anything this week that they want to mention?
Yeah, I read the Django Unchained Zorro crossover comic.
Oh, right. Was that good?
Awesome. Absolutely loved it. I think it really captured. It's not the Antonio Banderas version. It's actually like the original kind of portrayal of Zorro. But yeah, no, it was really fun. Like Tarantino, I think, wrote it as well. Like it's really just fun adventure story, and they have a really good back and forth. Really makes me want. Apparently, they're supposed to be doing a movie or a show adaptation of it, so I'm hoping that actually happens at some point down the road. So that was really good. And then we did Crimson Cage for GP Venom's channel last week, and I thought that was an excellent read as well. Like really stunning artwork, cool twist on the Macbeth story. So yeah, I thought that was a good one as well.
We score it highly as well because it's a fantastic read. It is a very good one. You're right, James. Anybody else been reading anything you want to mention?
I finished Crimson Cage as well. I think I liked it a little bit less than you guys did, but then I am comparing it to Do a Powerbomb all the time, which is probably wrong. I absolutely love that. So it was mentioned on the GP show about how like it feels like there's a couple of scenes missing. And that sort of really bothered me. Like,
same. I thought it was a problem.
Didn't flow very well for me.
Yeah.
And also, and you're going to hate me for this one, Pete, but like, I didn't actually love the art. Like, it just didn't really work for me. Like, there was some of it, like the wrestling stuff, all looked great, but when it got really dark, I found it really hard to work out what was happening in the panels.
Yeah,
Peter, I think Mals have really bad vision, so
limited eyesight.
It could be that. It could be that. Anyway, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It is good, and I did thoroughly enjoy reading it. Just not as much as you guys seem to have.
Yeah.
World Tree issue 4.
Yeah, I've not read it yet. No spoilers. I haven't read it yet.
No spoilers. It's still good. Like, it's a good read. Yeah. And I finally got round to reading the first 12 issues of DC's Injustice, which I'd never read, and it is amazing.
Fantastic!
Yes,
it's really good. I was I read it like in one go. I liked it so much. 12 issues in one sitting because it's that damn good. So it's if you haven't read it, do it.
I've just picked up the. I'm saying just picked up. It's on my shelf. I think I got it about 8 months or so ago. I've got the omnibus. I've read a couple of the first trades and obviously played the games, but I picked up the omnibus just to have the full thing. It's a stunning storyline. Just quickly jumping into the chat before I move on to Luke and Highland J, if you guys have read anything. Connie is saying that she's been reading 800-page Stephen King book. Reading 800 pages, so I've not had time for comics this week. Maybe tomorrow before I go see Barbie again, I'll get this one. Which Stephen King book, Connie? Let me know which book it is.
I think it was 1123. That one.
I'm into Joe Hill's stuff at the moment. Stephen King's son. I read a lot of Joe Hill's books. Hulk Collector, absolutely. I've just before we came on the show, I've just read issue 2 of the new Hulk series. I am absolutely loving it. Very much a horror kind of vibe going on. It's stunning. Phil, Crimson Cage isn't as good as Do a Powerbomb, yet Do a Powerbomb is a stunning story, I have to say. I love that one as well. Incredible Hulk, off to a great start, absolutely. Random question, has anyone seen Marvel Rising? I've seen bits of it, Lottie, and it's very, very cool. I like that a lot. It's a good cartoon, that one. Gonna bounce, gonna finish Secret Invasion. I hear it's great. Good stuff, Phil. Phil, thank you very much for joining me. Luke, have you been reading much?
So no, not really. I'm still waiting for my copy of Hulk issue number 2 to come in the post. Forbidden Planet seem to be dragging their feet with it. I'm not subscribed to many things. I don't have many things on my pull list, so I don't know what's holding it up. No, much like last week and the week before, I'm still plowing through Mirage Turtles.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Highland G, anything from you, sir?
So I've been reading quite a bit because I had a week off, so I've just been reading kind of bits and pieces. But the one thing I wanted to kind of highlight is this quite big volume of Vagabond. Basically, it's a samurai kind of story about, I think it's Musashi, if I say it right, the creator of the Book of the Five Rings. But this is sort of this creator's take on that. So there's some added things. There's like an extra friend that maybe wouldn't be in the actual, true to life story and stuff like that. But I actually started reading this one night when I was in bed and I wasn't sleeping. So it was like 2-3 in the morning. I got up and just started reading this, and I literally finished it like over one night. Wow. So it's a really good read, and there's a load of other volumes of it. So I've ordered another couple after this one, but I was just really surprised how quickly I got through this, because this is, fairly
big chunky book.
Kind of book.
Chunky monkey.
But a few hours and I was done.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I read this just before we came live. This is The Last Days of Lex Luthor. This is by Mark Waid, who I normally really love his writing. This is basically Lex Luthor is fanning on with some kryptonite, and it explodes and damages his cells. So he's got 2 days to live. And he asks Superman to basically save his life. So it's Superman going to Kandor and the Phantom Zone and things like that to try and find a cure for Lex. and it's got some flashbacks to Lex and Clark living in Smallville together and the friendship they had there. Didn't blow us away, I have to be honest. I normally love Mark Waid's writing, but this was okay, but it certainly didn't massively excite us, I have to say. Okay. Just to mention, tomorrow, as I've already said, 7:30, we're doing this week's comics, myself and some of the guys, where we'll be reviewing pretty much all of the Marvel, DC, and some of the indie books that have come out this week. What we've been buying, just before I move on to you guys, I just wanted to mention that, I don't know why the hell I've done this, but some of you that watch my channel, this is where everybody disappears because I realize I haven't got anything to show. Earlier in the year, I bought some blind boxes from a company that claimed they were giving away, I think it was a Fantastic Four 1 that you could win.
Oh, yeah, remember that.
And I did some videos about how I felt. They'd done a one earlier, which was, I can't remember. It was another big key.
Hulk 181. Is this the Irish one?
The Irish company. The Irish
I warned
company.
you.
So you did, James. You did. Yeah. So they did a box where they were giving away a Hulk 181, and they did a box where they were giving away a Fantastic Four 1. I did some digging. You can go back and check my videos out on this, but I did some digging, and I'm not sure it was 100% above board. Some of the information they gave about past winners and things like that didn't play out. Anyway, they've released another box, which is giving away an Avengers 4 first appearance of Captain America, Silver Age Captain America, I think it is. That's the fella. Yeah. So you can win that, and these boxes are £50 a box. So I've bought 2. even
fool me
though,
once, fool me twice. This is the third time now, Peter.
Peter, why? It's not.
I don't.
Did you just keep touching the stove when you were a kid? Did you? Your hand just melted away. Like
money to burn, Pete. I don't know.
So despite doing a video saying I
disappointed.
thought they were crooks. Yeah. Well, I'll not be disappointed if I win the cup. I mean, I've already got a copy as well. But if I win that Avengers number 4, who'll be laughing then, eh?
You get to rub it in my face, so that's worth it. Isn't it? Yeah.
But let's be honest, I'm not winning it because the thieves. Anyway, sorry. Moving on. Who's been buying? Anybody got anything they want to show that they've been buying stuff? Luke, what have you got?
Yeah, so sticking with my Turtles binge, like I said, I've been reading the Mirage comics and I'm looking forward to the new film. Something came up that I just couldn't refuse for the price, and it arrived really quick as well. I don't know how far away the person was, but I managed to get an issue number 3.
Oh, nice.
So
very nice.
I already have an issue number 2, and now I've got issue number 3, and then I've got 4, 5. I'm missing number 7, and I carry on up until I think number 11 or 12. And then it's the rest of them that I still need to get in single format. I'm not going to get an issue 1 anytime soon, but I have a few reprints. But yeah, this was too good of a price to refuse. I got it dirt cheap on eBay, and I literally just woke up one morning and the person had taken the listing down and re-uploaded it for a cheaper price. So I just hit buy it now. That was it.
Very
done.
cool. Very cool. Nice. Very nice book, that one, Luke. Anybody else got anything to want to show off?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things.
We'll just work our way down. Highland G.
So I got this recently.
Nice. Yeah.
It was actually
First
fairly
Nightwing.
cheap. It's the first Nightwing and first Jericho, I believe.
Yeah.
For that, but I'm trying to get the Titans on covers, so I don't necessarily care if it's the first appearance in the book, but as long as it's their first cover, that's kind of what I'm kind of going for. But I got it for maybe like 20 quid or something because there's a slight kind of corrosion in one of the staples, but it looks pretty decent, It's just a display copy for me.
I love that original Nightwing. I'm a massive Nightwing fan. I've got all of his issue 1s kind of covers and the variations of his costumes, but I do like that the original setup.
Yeah,
very cool.
Well,
that one.
I actually found at the same time there's a mini action figure series that DC done that's first appearances.
Yeah.
And there's a little action figure of Nightwing with like a tiny copy of this comic that comes with it, and I managed to get that as well. So it's not arrived yet, but I'll have that to kind of go next to this as the kind of bigger comic rather than a tiny little one. So that was kind of the idea there. And then a second thing that I picked up that I've been searching for quite a while, and I was actually waiting, hoping that Marvel would reprint it with the rest of their Star Wars stuff, but they haven't for whatever reason. And that's the Star Wars Legacy Book 3. I've got 1 and 2, had them for a while. This is the Dark Horse omnibuses. and it's just my favorite Star Wars story. So I'm happy to finally have the third kind of volume in a nice hardcover. These are sort of mini omnibuses, but it's the best format you can get them in.
Nice, I like them. Very cool, good stuff. Thank you, Von Hoot.
Okay, so first up is something I actually bought, which is the Injustice movie. And I liked it. It pales in comparison to the book, but it's quite an interesting flick. They made a couple of changes, I think. Yeah, it depends where it happens. It's possible I haven't got to the point in the book where stuff happens, but I'd recommend this if you're a fan of the DC animated stuff. I wouldn't say it's top tier, but it's worth a watch. It's got some really cool shorts on it as well. Like there's 4 of them on there, which is pretty good. Right. And I can talk about this now because I've finally got the video up. I got a amazing AOK from Retro Rocket Comics in Canada.
Oh yeah.
And they're wonderful. Chris and Kelly they just put loads of fun stuff, including some Lucha masks, and I absolutely love this one. Like it's my favorite thing ever. I went to work wearing this last week. Yeah. Like I actually went to work and did my job wearing this mask.
To be fair, though, you are a Mexican wrestler, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's really, really nice quality. It fits like a glove, and I've always wanted lucha masks, and I never see them in anything that could resemble my head. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're always for kids at wrestling shows on the cheap, like. And these are really nice quality. So, again, thank you very much, Retro Rocket Comics. This is awesome.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I like them. I like them a lot. Rob, what have you got?
Well, this week I unboxed, because I got lots of stuff, but I unboxed and shared. Of course, I picked up the first Power Girl for the second time, because I had picked this book up in a 9.2 before, but when I got the book, I had noticed that it was kind of sneaking out the side, and it turned out that it had been a slab that somebody broke into, sliced it, and inserted a different book in there, and got my money back from that. Been hunting for a while, finally was able to find one at the price and grade I wanted. So happy to add that to the PC. And then the other one that was the big one that we got was just one of the best looking 3.0 books I've seen in a long time. This cover is so clean. Almost, there's no real creases. There's just some chipping in the corners, and then on the back is where we have some big chipping chunks, but I don't give a crud because that front is just so.
I mean, that's just a stunning cover, isn't it? That's a classic kind of medicine. I love it.
Neil Adams' great homage.
Yeah. What book number is that one again, Rob?
This is 227.
227. Yeah.
So it's 1970, December 1970.
Yeah. Stunning. Absolutely stunning, mate. James, did you have anything you wanted to show?
No, you have everything I bought recently, Peter. So I physically don't have anything I've been buying.
So James has been buying action figures and foolishly sending them to my house for some reason. So I've got 3 of these hot toys sat in my spare room at the moment, which are screaming out for us to open and play with.
It's just a show of trust, isn't it? Really? That's how much I love you, Pete.
I kind of wanted to mention
being a shipping middleman isn't all it's cracked up to be, is it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
I do the same. Peter.
I wanted to mention this, guys, and this is just kind of prompted us after we did our toy show on Monday, that there are some it's a great time to be a geek, because not only are there some phenomenal pieces becoming available to pick up, but also I think if you've got the money, we've got quite easier access to get a hold of some of these books and figures than we used to have. So just on screen there's the Super 7 Cat's Lair from Thundercats, which is a phenomenal piece, but it'll cost you about 750 quid.
It does look amazing, though.
It looks amazing.
If I had the money, I would be like,
It's not just the money, but Von Hood, it's the space. Do you know what I mean? How do you display it? So that's out there. They've got this image here of Henry is the in-art Superman figure, which has just been announced. That it looks phenomenal. We've got
This
the
head
turtle
sculpt
figures.
really blew me away. I think that
It's
stunning,
amazing.
really.
Absolutely amazing. We've got the turtle figures that Luke talked about on Monday, which are superb but are pricey as well. And then, of course, we've got comic books. I know, Rob, you're after that particular comic book, which are out there at the moment. So I guess I wanted to ask you guys, how do you limit yourself? Because you could very quickly go mad, couldn't you, and spend ridiculous amounts of money. So I'm interested, as collectors, how do you control your urges to not go out and just
I've got no
put
money.
yourself into different? Yeah.
That's how I do it.
That's the honest truth. But sometimes, I mean,
I've got no space.
Yeah, I think space is big.
That
So
sounds like Twitter talk to me.
My thing is that I do slowly expand my collection or my displays of things. I mean, I think that naturally kind of happens regardless if you've got the space for it or not. But I am pretty good and have always been pretty good that if even going back to having early games consoles and stuff, if I bought the next console, I would sell the previous console. And everything's always been a kind of a flip for me a little bit. So I've got sort of a 5x5 Kallax as my main kind of collected editions comics. And I've had that for the last 10 years. You know, I just buy and sell books, and I try not to let it expand too much. If it does, it does. But ultimately, if I don't have the space, I don't have the space, and I'm not going to reread and relook at everything either. So, with statues and kind of toys like that, I tend to have smaller little collections for some things that I just want a token for. So I've got 4 little Q figs of the turtles that sit next to my turtles books on the shelf, and that's my only turtles representation in the collection. They were maybe 20 quid each.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my big statues is my Titans ones, where some of them are £300-400 statues, but that's my only statue set, and I've got maybe 7 or 8 statues within that sort of £100 to £400 range, and that's the only ones I have. I'm trying to get the main classic Titans, and anything else is cheaper figures. You're looking at £90 or less,
Yeah, I think space in particular for me is one of the big kind of factors. But I'm just thinking what you've said there. I've got, I don't know what you guys are like, but I've got shelves and shelves of hardback, softback graphic novels that I'm just keeping. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know why, because I'm not going to probably go back and read many of them anymore now. Some of them I might, but I've got bookshelves full of books that are just taking up valuable toy space.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that made me rethink about that was I watched one of Joachim's videos. He talks a lot about his collections and stuff like that. He's kind of a little bit of a different kind of mentality to a lot of people that kind of just collect and collect and collect. And one thing that he kind of brought to mind is that people kind of talk about the whole idea of getting rid of things you don't enjoy. Okay, I hate this thing. I just like to give away to someone else, let them enjoy it, and that kind of thing. But what he raised was, well, if you've got a library of books, it's your books that you're going to kind of come back to. They should be the ones that make you want to pick them up, the ones that you're almost fighting between which one of these 3 you're going to read. If you look at a book and you're like, meh, why is it in your collection? Even if you enjoyed it and you thought it was okay, it's meh, it's never going to get picked up again. So it's just sitting there for the sake of it. And that just kind of made me rethink it a bit more.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Because I'm a dragon and these are my trinkets.
This is cool. Yeah, this is cool. Rob, how do you create your collection? How do you manage what you spend your hard-earned money on?
I want it. I get it.
See, that's my problem. Yeah.
Shit.
I want it, I buy it, I have it. Peter, what are you talking
mine.
about?
I licked it, it's mine. It's unfortunately,
with the caveat, I have the money for it and the space for it.
Yeah.
I don't have the space necessarily. I did spend some time this morning out in the garage where I keep my most of my collection, where I was sitting there looking at it and going, what is next? Because I've already expanded and moved most of the tools and stuff out of the garage to make more space, and I'm kind of running out of space again.
You just mount shelves everywhere and the walls and
exactly. Going how much? how let's see. A kid's moving out when? That's it's not easy, but probably the biggest thing that I do in reality is there's a lot of stuff that comes out that I go like, oh wow, that's cool. I'd like to have that. But I don't collect those things, and I try to make sure that I really, try to keep focus on my collection. So even when it comes to Funkos, people go like, "Oh, I didn't know you were into Funkos," because they look at it, I have a bunch of Funkos that are up above my comic stuff. But the only Funkos I have are only Nightmare Before Christmas Funkos, because that's the one niche that I was doing on, and I don't go down the path of the others, even though I've gone, "Oh, cool, that's kind of cool," you know, and I go, no, not really. So that's the best that I can do, is try to kind of limit. And most of these things most of the stuff I have that's not my comics is stuff that people have given me. But yeah, no, it's not easy. I do give yourself credit though, that not in that slide. How did you not include the new Dancing Grimlock? I mean, come on.
Oh, I know, mate. No, don't. £1,400. That. I mean, what's that in dollars?
Right.
It's eye watering. But yeah, it's very nice.
I'm not good. I don't have the. My wife will tell you I don't have the greatest of impulse control. I buy things because I want them. Fortunately, I've gotten much better than I was as a young kid, and I do stay within my means. But damn, it's not easy.
No, I'm the same. I'm the same. Just before I move on to some of the other guys,
that's why I have to sell. You know, that's where my balance is. You know,
that's why I used to be a 9-something guy all the way, but now I have no problem with a 3.0 and a 2.5.
Some sort of compromise so that you can keep the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
That fun, you know.
Exactly.
Just before I move on to Luke and James, shiny. Personally, to control my collection, I shop at Toys Wonderland. For those in the panel that don't know, Toys Wonderland sell 1/6 scale action figures, and they are notoriously. They're a challenging company, shall we say. So they've got a system where some of the stuff you buy never arrives, so you can get the thrill of collecting and don't lose as much space. Absolutely shiny. I would never recommend anyone shop at Toys Wonderland. I've had some experiences myself with those swines. Luke, how do you manage your collecting? Because you're a man like myself. You have a varied collection: toys, comics, books, props.
Yeah. So for starters, I'm very lucky. I have a lot of space here. You know, I've got a room upstairs all to myself. I've got the entirety of the loft, and I have the garage. So I'm not short on space. And a lot of my stuff is just piled up in actual toy boxes, so that I can open up an old kid's toy box, and there is a whole selection of like He-Man figures or Thundercat figures or anything else that you might want. And a lot of my toys are here to be played with. You know, I like having people come round, my nieces, nephews, my own kids, and I like them seeing that stuff, playing with that stuff. Sometimes I give it to them, same as with comic books. I have my own collection of comics, and then I have comics that I just go, "Oh, you can have that one, see if you like it," and off they go with it. I wouldn't just do it to anyone. Obviously, these are family members and friends, kids, and stuff like that. And because there's a level of trust, do you know what I mean? That they're not going to take something that they shouldn't or anything else. But for the most part, I'm not a completionist. You know, it might seem that way. I have a lot of this stuff, but I don't go out hunting for every single number or every single thing. For me, it's about representation. As long as I've got one thing or one diorama or setup for that particular franchise, then I'm happy. So like, for example, the other week we were talking about Star Wars, and I mentioned how my parents had thrown all my Star Wars figures away, and it took me a long time to get back into purchasing Star Wars figures, but I just went for the bounty hunters, and I set up a nice diorama scene and got that all set up, and that is my representation, and that's where I draw the line. So sure, I might go to a toy show or something like that and see a random Star Wars figure, but you just get thrown into the mix and match box of toys down below. That's kind of where my impulse is. The only thing that I am a completionist on, as you all know, is the Spider-Man collection.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you in terms of I like to have, and again, a lot of my collection's rooted in nostalgia. So I like to have certain franchises like your He-Man, Thundercats, whatever it may be. I like to have it represented, but I don't have to have everything. Do you know what I mean? So much like yourself. Just going to quickly, before I come to you, James, look at Fuzzy here. I like everything and would buy everything. However, my wife enjoys nothing more than putting a stop to it. Yeah, absolutely, Fuzzy. James, you're quite limited by space, I guess, aren't you?
I literally can't walk around my bed because this box is in the way. So yeah, that is an issue and something I have to think about. But like I've always had like good self-control. I have had my times where I'd like, go mad on eBay over a month or two. I don't really shop on eBay or Amazon anymore. So now it's like the thrill of the find at a convention. If I see something I've wanted for a while, You know, rather than going to eBay, I'm like, I'll look for it at a convention. And when you find it, it's a really amazing moment. But like, yeah, I've always had a very focused collection. So I think we do PlayStation, a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Marvel, and even then I'm pulling them back a little bit now. So yeah, it's a bit mad, but like, and I'm clearing some stuff out now for the sake of space. But like, yeah, I really just need more room.
Yeah,
I'm happy with what I have. I don't want to get rid of anything.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it is the thrill of the hunt. So I've very much gone to a mode now where, particularly vintage toys, I will only pick up by hunting for them at conventions. I don't buy off eBay and everything like that. Yeah. But it's that kind of that excitement of buying stuff. I remember very, very early on, before I had kids, so maybe 20 years ago or so, I was collecting. Does anyone collect bone busts? So the Marvel superhero statuettes of kind of there was a full collection of them. They were incredible. But there was somebody on eBay selling the entire collection, so 100 busts, and they went on average for, you know, between 50 and 150 pound. And I remember them starting at quite a low price. So I was going out and I said to my wife, just keep an eye on them. If any of them go below kind of like, you know, 30 quid, try and pick up a few of them for us. And when I came back, she was like a mad woman. She was getting into kind of bidding wars with people, and she had no idea what she was bidding on. But it was that kind of, how dare someone beat me on eBay? I must get the bid. Great for me. I got shit tons of great stuff. But she spent a lot of money that she shouldn't have spent. But it is that kind of excitement, do you know what I mean, of buying
I
stuff.
find eBay can get a bit addictive though on that kind of things. And the way I try to control myself with that is that when I'm looking for something on eBay, it's one, I'm intentionally looking for it. It's not something I stumble across. I'm not buying something I just stumble across. But the other thing is I've kind of set myself a price. So what I tend to do is I'll watch the thing until it's down to like the last day, because I don't want to unintentionally like spike the auction or anything. But on the last day, I'll just go in, bid my top value, because it doesn't actually bid it bids the next bid. And it just kind of sits there, and then I literally just turn off the app and don't look at it, because I know that if I even glance, I'm going to get into this thing where I'm like, oh, just £2 more, or just a £5, or just £20, and before you know it, you've spent twice the cost. So
I've done that lots of times.
It's one bid and look away. That's the only way I can play it. Otherwise, it gets risky.
My biggest problem right now is I've pretty much run out of stuff to collect. You know, it's a very good position to be, but I pretty much got everything that I always wanted. You know, obviously I'm still hunting for those 2 Spider-Man books to complete that set. But as for everything else, everything that's represented here, there's not a single item that I go, oh, I still need this or I still need that. I've gone out and sought everything.
You say that like you're upset about it. It's like, I have everything I could possibly want.
Do you know why I'm upset? The reason why I'm upset is because this is an addiction. This is I can't control. Yeah, I have no idea what my next collectible is going to be.
You need a new rabbit hole.
It's going to happen.
Can I introduce you to Atomic Age Sci-Fi?
Well,
or how wind up robots?
That's the thing, right? I have all that stuff too. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love to own like the entirety, but it's just not readily available. But I have all that sort of stuff. I have like the 1950s robots and aliens. I have the comic books. I've got like EC collections, Atlas collections. I've got the lot. And again, like I say, it's all about representation. So it's not owning everything. It's not completionist.
Oh. No.
You mustn't have the lot, Luke, because I'm on your Instagram and you're forever buying stuff. So you cannot say you've run out of stuff to buy if you continue to buy stuff.
It's as new stuff comes out that replaces some of the old stuff. So there's nothing. For example, I have, whether it be my original or whether I've bought it afterwards, I own every toy that I ever remember having as a child. That's quite a statement, right?
Yeah.
But I believe it to be true. I've got everything from Crash Dummies to Visionaries to Turtles. I've got everything. So much so that I even have duplicates of some of this stuff. And again, I can't help it. Like you say, impulsive and everything else. But
you've piqued me interest there, then, because I've never seen your Visionaries, and I'm a big Visionaries fan. We'll have to do a show where you'll have to show us some of your Visionaries, because I'm a big Visionaries fan.
I think it's something that would fit in your collection that you don't have. I've not seen
just sell all your Spideys.
You haven't used Usagi stuff.
Do you have a dancing Grimlock?
So I have a couple of Usagi. I don't have a Dancing Grimlock. I have a couple of Usagi comic books, including the first appearance of Space Usagi from the Mirage Turtles line.
Yeah.
And then I also have the new NECA figure of him that they created a few months or years back. So, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Andy. Moving on, chaps. Let's have a look at some TV and some movies. I just wanted to mention this because my good friend Dead Man, who was in the chat earlier, sent this through to me the other day. This is a Michael Caine movie based on a true story of a chap who was in a nursing home who travelled over to France and escaped the nursing home basically to take part in some World War II event. Has anybody watched the trailer for this?
I did, begrudgingly.
Yes.
I absolutely loved it. I thought this was
Really.
I did, James.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's
Just
an
for old
age thing.
people, is it?
Well, perhaps
Yeah,
it's an
that's
age
what
thing, but I thought this looked phenomenal, and I'll definitely be going to see this. What did everybody else think?
I thought it was another one of those films that I've seen. It's like, it's okay. It's a nice story. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's not a movie I would go to the theater to see. It's maybe back in the 80s, it would have been a movie that might have one Saturday or Friday night come home from the video store with us to watch as a non-offensive family. The whole family can watch it type of rom-com-esque adventure, but it's doesn't make me get all giddy. But I mean, I like the topic. I like the idea. I like the idea because it's still a fun. It's still like a fun type of adventure. It's a little bits of funny and it's the kind of movie that we don't have these days as much.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I got a surprise at in it, and I'm sure it was intentional in terms of the acting and stuff like that, is Michael Keaton, bloody hell, Michael Caine in terms of the age years. I don't know if I just forgot that he was getting on in years, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it floated my boat. I have to say, I think it looks like a pretty interesting movie. I might be like you, Rob. I might not go to the cinema to see it, but it's certainly one I'll look out for. I can't remember who sent us this. Was this Highland G or was this James?
It was me. I sent it a few days ago, I think. It's just this is a show on Apple TV, which I've really enjoyed. I didn't really know what to make of it off the kind of banner. It's kind of got two focuses going on. So what you kind of get off the banner is this main kind of player here, which is kind of like a prodigy basketball player, and he's from a sort of less well-to-do kind of area, and there's these various kind of tournaments and stuff going on. He's trying to basically break it. He's trying to get all these scouts to kind of see him and stuff. But the other element that you don't really get told about is kind of they've got this coach who's had this little kind of history kind of going on, and he starts kind of like building this team, and you start getting this almost Mighty Ducks feel to the kind of show where they're competing and they're building up this kind of team, and they've got their own little kind of slogans, and they changed their team name to Swagger, so that's kind of like the equivalent of kind of like going quack 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 when it's the Ducks kind of thing, and it's just a really interesting show. There's a lot of deeper elements they kind of go through. There's a few things that happen to them that are maybe more kind of touching points that some people might not want to see in kind of shows. And they don't show anything as such. They just kind of discuss some of these kind of maybe more touching kind of points, and some things to do with references to sort of taking the knee and stuff like that. But I just think it was really, really well done. They're into the second season now, and it's a show that I've really enjoyed.
Not based on a true story or anything on Hound G?
I don't know if it's based on anything kind of specific. As I said, I get very sort of strong Mighty Ducks vibes, the way that the team kind of connect and the way they kind of build over kind of time. But there's a lot more deeper urban kind of topics covered as well, which I think a lot of shows on Apple TV, there's less of them, but the way they do things and the way they address things are just so well done. So whoever's curating their stuff, does a really good job.
Not heard of that one. That's the one I'll look out for. It sounds good. Anybody else seen this one? No. One to watch out for. Sounds interesting.
It's good fun.
James, you mentioned this.
Yeah, so I watched this a few nights ago. This is a movie from 2017, directed and starring Woody Harrelson, called Lost in London, and it was a movie that was filmed live and streamed to cinemas live. So the whole thing is one take, and it's based on like this night Woody Harrelson was out in London and he got like arrested, chased by police and stuff. Which is like, I think as like a technical, I'd heard about it a while ago and I'd been meaning to watch it and I managed to the other day. As a technical achievement, it's stunning. Like the fact that you can actually have like a movie that feels like a movie and it was like made on the fly like that. I think it's really impressive. Some really, really sharp script, I think, some good moments in it. It's a fun one.
Yeah. Again, one I've never heard of. Never heard of this one.
I've nearly watched it loads of times, but never knew that was the gimmick of it. Like I really want to now, because like I was very close so many times at night, just being like, I need something to watch, and it's got Woody Harrelson in.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't watch it at the time. In this, like, that would have been a thing I would have gone to. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, no, like it's really impressive. Like, you're like just watching it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how did they manage to pull this off? And everybody thought he was a madman for wanting to do it. Like,
yeah, sounds interesting. Watch that one. Gen V, the trailer for Gen V. Anybody pick that one up? Anybody watch that? Yeah. What did you think of that?
Looks like The Boys, doesn't it?
Yeah, just like more boys madness. Yeah. You guys,
I think it looks great. I think the concept is fantastic. Seeing these kind of irresponsible teenagers with these amazing powers and the kind of hijinks that they're going to get up to. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting area to explore in this universe, and I like how connected to the main show it is. Like, a lot of the cast are coming back for this, so yeah, it's I'm very excited for this one.
I thought it looked. I mean, I'm a big fan of The Boys. Rob, have you caught up with The Boys? Are you watching The Boys or not?
I've watched season 1 and that's it.
Okay, season 3 in particular is very, very good. Soldier Boy coming into it.
Who knows? Maybe if this writers and actors strike goes on long enough, I'll get caught up on all the various things that people want to see. But the problem is, to be perfectly honest, and maybe DVH can appreciate this, the problem is that there's no wrestling strike, and so there's a lot of hours of wrestling for me to consume. Even if I just stick to the 2 brands. And it takes a lot of my free time, and my ability to stay awake in my recliner while watching TV is diminishing as I continue to age. And so I have to spend watching 6 hours of wrestling takes me 12 to 15 hours of time, because I have to rewatch things multiple times.
So honest question, because I don't know, for Rob and DVH, wrestling, that's just made up bollocks. Is that not written and performed by actors and things?
There's stories performed by actors.
So has that not been hit by like the writers' strike and the actors' strike? Are they not classed as
Screen Actors Guild? So
they're not even employees. So
they're contractors, isn't it? They're not actually covered.
It's madness in that business. But yeah, there's no chance in hell they are going on strike anytime. It's just not going to happen.
Oh well, probably. I mean, if I would imagine then an exciting time for them to push out as much content as possible. Then
so what Rob was just saying, if you watch both of the main brands, you're looking at like
there's
15
11
to 20 hours of TV a week.
6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 hours a week of just the wrestling programs that are on TV.
Yeah,
I'd rather shoot.
Not counting any of their other content that they push out.
I used to watch both brands, like back in the times when I used to really follow WWE, and it became crippling to the point where like it had to end. Now I just follow one, and I'm much happier for it.
I will admit that there's probably I watch about half of it. Because like I said, I fall asleep way too much in my recliner, and I end up keep filling in the blanks with ups and downs. It kind of fills me in and keeps me going what's going on, but still I try.
WWE TV particularly is always so repetitive that I just can't do it anymore.
That's why I don't watch it in real time. I record it.
I'm gonna have to stop the wrestling talk there because honestly,
you read comics. I don't understand. They're basically superheroes. That's what they are.
It's comics. Comics seem to good though.
The storylines make just as much sense too.
Yeah.
Is Mary Jane in wrestling? Has she got super?
Could be. Becky Lynch. No more redhead.
Dr. Von Hoot, you sent with this. Now I was completely oblivious.
This, but I did watch it.
I was completely oblivious to this. I didn't realize they were making it.
I heard it was coming just before it dropped, but I'm for it. I love The Exorcist, and I've also always had a thing for the supernatural horror, like particularly if it's based in sort of Catholicism, like The Exorcist. I guess, like it really, I get the feels for it. It's nice. So
I thought the trailer was pretty good actually. I do like those kind of movies. Luke, you're a bit of a horror buff. Did this one float your boat?
I haven't actually watched that trailer, but I love the original Exorcist film. Even the sequels back in the day were good. I'm quite eager to watch that new one with. Is it
3 is amazing.
What's the other new Exorcist style film? Is it the Pope's Exorcist or something?
There was a one with Russell Crowe. Is that the Pope?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to watching that one as well. But I haven't seen the trailer for this. Sorry.
Yeah. Looks pretty interesting. I'm quite looking forward to getting into that.
I didn't realize it was so far along because this is from David Gordon Green, who did the new Halloween movies.
Oh, is it?
So I'd heard he was making one, but I didn't realize it was filmed and everything.
I'm out.
Soon.
Yeah.
Don't stop. They're great movies. Halloween.
No, they are not.
Yes, they are. You like wrestling. You have no opinion.
Yeah.
The first one is good.
What good entertainment is.
The first one is good. The second one is very funny. And the third one, let's not talk about the third one.
I didn't mind it. Anyway, moving on, guys, just to kind of round things up. Don't want to go into great detail with this, but obviously over in the US, we've been having some public hearings regarding UFOs, where there's been a number of government kind of employees and military personnel, I think 4 people in total or something, who've been discussing their views or experiences in relation to UFOs. They've come out and made some quite extraordinary claims about aliens. They're saying that they've got biological, non-biological material being removed from crafts, that the US government has been conducting a multi-decade program which collected and attempted to reverse engineer crashed UFOs. Tons of different examples of times when people in the service have seen UFOs or unexplained phenomena and all the rest of it. As usual, there's absolutely no proof being presented. So there's a lot of conversation and discussion. And they have said on a number of occasions that they wouldn't disclose stuff in the public hearing, but they would disclose stuff to the panel outside of the area and whatnot. But they didn't provide any smoke and gun that I'm aware of. I'm a massive UFO fan. I love a good UFO story. Got very into it during the X-Files kind of age and all the rest of it. I find it all very intriguing. But I don't know whether I 100% believe it. So I'm interested, I guess, in what you guys think. Do you believe any of this? I mean, we'll start with you, Rob, because this has kind of kicked off in your little end of the world, shall we say. What are your thoughts on this?
Right, because America owns all UFOs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And, all the anal probes and all the other things that go along with that. It's either us or Russia. Actually, Russia has a lot of reports of too, but apparently the rest of the world, the aliens don't care about, which is good for you guys, I suppose. But look, do I believe that there's potential of life? Sure. Absolutely. Do I believe that there's sentient life? Probably even other sentient life out there. It's just the laws of statistical probability suggest that, right? Now, the concept, though, that that they may find a way to then travel all this distance and everything else, and then they managed to crash on our planet. They couldn't do. They got here, but then they crashed, and our government, who can't keep anything secret, has managed to, for years now, keep these things utterly, completely quiet and devoid from. Well, actually, it's not true because there's been a lot of people talking about these things. But so I guess you could claim that that's true. But I don't know. I think it's always more stuff of, we don't know what these things are type things, but whether or not it's aliens coming to visit us or not, who knows.
So Rob, you're a big sci-fi fan. So
right, I like the concept, sure, but the question is, it's much like any of these other things. Do you really want to meet an an alien species that travels this far, has the technology, and can travels all this way? Do you want to meet them? Because
I have one very important question: do they have 3 boobs? Because that
decides it for you. Then you're all in, right?
I'm all in.
Hey, Mr. Captain Kirk. As far as that aspect of one concept has always been the idea. Well, if they've got all this technology, then surely they must be intelligent and therefore peaceful, which does not necessarily equate.
Yeah.
And they're looking for resources or whatever else, or we're so beneath them that we're just like animals to them, right? And the things that we do to animals, they do to us to try to understand, and we don't understand. So, do you really want to meet something like that doesn't have any concept of your humanity or how you view yourself and all this stuff? I don't know that I'd want to. I don't necessarily know that they'd be benevolent or anything else. And it's just like the whole idea of like, do you ever really want to meet an angel? Those they conduct God's wars. God wants to punish someone, he sends an angel. Do you really want to meet him? You don't want to meet an alien? I don't know.
No, good points. Good points. Connie's saying intelligence and peacefulness very rarely correlate. Yeah,
at least in our society.
Yeah. Luke, what about yourself? What do you think?
Yeah, so much like with Rob, that's why I hated that you went to him first, because he says all the good points. But I agree. I think there is probably life out there somewhere else, but we'll never see it. It could be anything for all we know, whether it's above us, below us, etc. It just kind of makes sense that there would be in the probable cause. As for stuff going on here, I think it's all just to do with military. It's all to do with like the Cold War and stuff like that, and not wanting to admit that there were better enemy weapons than what we had. So therefore they're UFOs, they're aliens. And that's where all these comic books come from that we all had in the 50s and the 60s. I think it was all that sort of propaganda put around in order to just basically say, don't worry about that aircraft that you see. That's not the Russians. That's not the enemy. That's a UFO. That's my belief. Again, if you're a believer, you're a believer. I'm not here to question that, but I think of UFOs the same way as I think about God. Like what Dr. Von Hoot was saying about the Catholic faith for horror movies. I like that. I don't believe in God, but I like that concept. Much like I like the concept of aliens for my sci-fi. For me, it's no different.
Interesting stuff. How about you, Highland G?
Yeah, so I think I'd kind of land on a similar kind of thought. So I kind of think that UFOs are a good explanation to a lot of things. Like you've got these sort of military things which could be either just in like things like stealth jets and things being tested before they were released, or there could be things that the other side have got that you don't have. There's been a lot of drugs used in military things when you go through the years as to various kind of military testing where people have got all sorts of side effects and seen things that weren't there. So we don't know how trustworthy what they saw or didn't see in the field actually, it kind of is. And lots of countries do really weird experimentations with humans and animals and all sorts of stuff that they don't want people to think is stuff that they're doing. So when people find anything, it's aliens. It's nice and easy to kind of cover it up. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice idea. I love it in comics. I love all the, superhero that can fly and is super strong and all that kind of stuff and looks just like me somehow, great. But the odds of an alien, even if it does exist on another planet, having our way of thinking, a brain in the way that we would think of it, touching matter in the way that we do. I mean, there's a lot of factors there that would have to line up perfectly. And then for them to be within our universe, I don't know. I think that'd be a bit of a jump in too
Bit
far.
of a coincidence if it was all
Yeah.
lined up perfectly like that. Yeah. Von Hoot, what do you think?
Much the same in sort of position, but what interested me about the Senate hearings is you've got actual people testifying under oath that there are non-terrestrial biologicals in sort of custody, I guess. Like they're dead, but that they have that. That's a pretty big deal to be saying under oath in a Senate. Like, and it's amazing to me that we've suddenly got to this position where we're discussing it for some reason now. Like, and I know it's because of like the various laws in the US that it's like having stuff behind, I think it's 50 years, isn't it? They're supposed to declassify stuff. It's very entertaining, whether it's true or not. And it's the first thing that's made me think, well, maybe there is something to that, because they are willing to stand there under oath and be like.
And I think, you know, you make a really interesting point, Von Hoot, because it's very easy to belittle and to kind of poo-poo these kind of claims when it comes from Billy Bob, who lives in a trailer in the middle of nowhere and he's being abducted. When it's high-ranking military officials saying it kind of does lend a little bit more credence to the stories, I guess.
Point of order, though. The American, if anything we've learned from my country in this last 10 years, is that officials will say any number of idiotic and stupid things that are have no bearing in truth or
That's
even
very
reality, for that matter.
We also have to remember the term UFO, unidentified flying object. It's not always from outer space.
Yeah.
Even
So
though
they've changed the term.
Are saying, I have seen a UFO. That just
No,
means
they're
they
not.
weren't able to identify it.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
Alien also just means a species that we've never seen on our planet. So if they splice an animal with a human, for instance, that's an alien.
Yeah.
So the term UFO is kind of an outdated term, isn't it? I can't remember what the term is now, but it's not UFO. It's something else. I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's still unidentified, something else. But it is the concept. And you think about the aircraft that we do know about, right, and where they suddenly came on the scene, like when stealth fighters finally came out on the scene. How long had that been being worked on and experimented before that came out? Yeah. I always go back to the SR-71, and you still think about that aircraft and how absolutely ludicrous it is when you compare it to any known aircraft today. And so we built that in the 60s and obviously experimented on it, building it probably in the late 50s, but we've not done anything since.
Yeah, it's odd. Very odd, isn't it? Yeah. James, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, like it's been said, I think it's a statistical certainty, effectively, that there is like somewhere out there some sort of life or sentient life. I think UFOs are bollocks. The concept of a spaceship is a human thing. Like a monkey wouldn't look at a spaceship and know like. You know what I mean? Like it's such a remote somewhere out there.
We're humanizing this
we had chimpanzees fly our aircraft initially.
Like a spaceship with a cockpit and with a pilot and all those kind of things are just that there's not somewhere 100 million light years away that has that idea.
Well,
as
what I was just thinking was, like, if we're ever to venture into space, I don't think it's actually us that's going. It's going to be AI.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Why couldn't that be from another society? Like,
you're absolutely right.
They've developed.
And people who say like, "Oh, they came here and built the pyramids," like that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because why would they? Like, and why would you like
build Stonehenge?
Do you give a shit if an ant sees you? Like why would they care? They could be 1,000,000 times bigger than us or 1,000,000 times smaller. Like these are all variables. Like the idea that there's a humanoid thing. I think if there was like a real alien, if you saw it, your eyes would bleed and you'd shit yourself. Like that's the most likely thing that could happen.
The thing is,
you saw what it was because you just couldn't comprehend it.
All life and all matter is just a simple bunch of vibrations that are built up, and if you vibrate at different frequencies, different things can interact with each other and they become solid or liquid or so on and so forth. So there's nothing saying that we couldn't actually have whole other life forms on planet Earth that we just can't interact with.
Yeah.
You know.
Ooh, very Valerian of you.
Yeah. So I saw a really good documentary about it was about ghosts actually that made that exact point, Highland G, saying there are ultra frequencies around with radio waves around all the time that we can't see and perceive, but it doesn't mean they're not there. So yeah.
I was
Interesting
literally writing a similar thing in the chat there. I was saying how we would ever recognize another life form, even if it was in front of us. Like,
yeah. Okay, I just thought this was. I mean, Fuzzy asked why we're discussing it. I like alien stuff. I enjoy sci-fi. I enjoy alien races, and I just thought it was an interesting period in American history to be kind of, I think the hearings in America.
This is on mainstream news.
Yeah.
So it's like,
nobody's really reacting to it because everybody's got so much shit going on.
But I think it's already, because as usual, it's all just storytelling. If at Congress they'd said, "Look, here is some irrefutable proof of whatever,"
I still wouldn't believe it.
But even the main guy who was talking, I think they asked him, "Have you seen this biological stuff?" And it was, No, but I know someone who was told it by someone else who was told it who saw it. Well, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of yeah.
I must imagine you guys all must be sitting there looking over here going like, look at those Americans. What are they doing again this time? Jesus.
Those pesky.
It's very entertaining, I've got to say.
I'm so glad we let those children go off and go do their own thing because they would just bring us down with them.
Exactly.
If Simon was here, he'd say he's met an alien.
He would. You're right.
Yeah,
he watched a film. He's also met time travelers who were robots.
He met E.T.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Very, very interesting stuff. We'll do a follow-on about ghosts, I think. That's the end of the show, chaps. We've covered some interesting topics. Just to remind everybody, got lots of stuff going on this week. Tomorrow we're doing comics. Monday we're doing DC scenes. Wednesday we're doing This Is My. I've got 2 other This Is My's this week, and we've got a toy video coming out about Captain Carter. So looking forward to that. Chaps, what have you got coming up on your channels? James T, we'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, I have a video tomorrow about the new Spider-Man game, talking about my theory of who Venom is in it, and it's not who everyone else is saying. So I've done a bit of digging, and I found a few bits that indicate this certain character might be Venom in the game. So that'll be tomorrow.
Okay, interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I have to say that game is floating me boat. It looks amazing. So I'm hoping to do a Venom hot toy from that. Rob, what have we got coming up on your channel?
Boxing is Monday mail call, Monday Madness, almost really 2 major keys. Again, I'm going to open up 2 big major first appearances. One of them I'm going to blame Dr. Von Hoot for. So I give him a shout out in the video. So no other reason to check it out. Thursday is going to be a Jack B $230 comic book mystery box. So a portion of the proceeds went to charity. Mind-numbing. I pulled a phenomenal key. A lot of great books, but a phenomenal key out of the box as well. And then Saturday, I'll be hosting my show, Only Slabs. We do it every Saturday, and I'll be joined by some bloke, down below there.
Good stuff. Luke, what have you got coming up on your channel?
It's unmuted. There we go. So I've just released a video on Friday talking about why I love incorrect dinosaurs. So a bit of a random topic, but one that I think we can all appreciate if we've ever seen those old-fashioned dinosaur movies from the 50s, or indeed anything present day. It's all wrong. And yeah, next week, funnily enough, I've made a video talking about am I done collecting? Because I own everything that I've ever wanted to own. So that's coming out too. And then, of course, I am on Only Slabs with Rob. So be sure to check that out because I haven't shown off my slabs yet. I've been on YouTube all this time and I've never shown them off.
Good stuff. That'll be a great show. Look forward to that. Highland G, what about yourself?
So I've managed to record a couple of videos, but I've not actually done the editing yet. So my plan is over the next couple of days to get the editing done, and hopefully I'll have a few closer look videos out over the next sort of week or so.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Highland G. And Dr. Von Hoot.
I have a video either coming out tomorrow or Monday, and probably Friday at the moment. And then at midnight, I'll be over at Commieverse's channel again with Tony to discuss Transformers in detail.
Ooh.
So we're going to do that for an hour a bit
Very
later
cool.
on. Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, looking for that. So I caught that last week when you were doing your Bruce Lee rundown.
Yeah.
So I'll try and jump on that again tonight. Sounds interesting.
Cheers.
Okie dokie, gang. So there will be no Saturday show next week because I'm trying to move this to a fortnightly show rather than an every week show, just to try and claw back a little bit of time to do other bits and bobs. And actually, I'm out next week anyway, so I wouldn't be able to do a show anyway. So please do make sure you jump over onto Rob's channel, Rob's Fat Stacks, to watch Luke and himself talk about all of the slabbed goodness Luke has got. I'm sure that will be a superb show. And with that, that's your whack. Thank you very much to everybody that's been in the channel and the chat. It's been popping tonight as ever. So really do appreciate all of you taking part. And thank you as ever to everybody that's been on the show. It's been really appreciated. With that, we'll call it a night. So thanks very much, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Bye.